From Up North News, I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is a letter from the editor. Support the Packers. You know, the Packers have been around Green Bay long before Curly Lambeau convinced his then employer, the Acme Packing Company, to support the local football team. Acme Packing and Packers all over the country were some of our early essential employees because it was the meat packing that they did, the beef and the pork and others that helped feed us. We often think about the farmers who feed us, but there's an entire food supply chain of people that are making sure that the vegetables and meats get to us, and a lot of times they're taken for granted. They may not be given the safest of conditions. They may not be given the best in pay. But as we're finding out with this COVID-19 outbreak, these are some of the places that have turned into hotspots and where a focus needs to once again be put on the condition of these important meat packers and other employees in the food chain. This is not something new in America. Upton Sinclair wrote The Jungle in 1906, calling attention to the plight of some of these workers, many of them immigrants and therefore many of them forgotten or disregarded. And you might think that that's something in the past, but as we were reminded this week by the Chief Justice of the Wisconsin Supreme Court, there are still plenty of people that look at meat packers and immigrant labor and others at the low end of the totem pole for wages as not regular folks. Well, they most assuredly are regular folks who deserve a fair paycheck, but they also deserve safe working conditions, and they deserve to be remembered by us, not just when we're buying food, but when we're setting policy. Right now, these folks and a whole lot of other people are living paycheck to paycheck if they're still getting a paycheck. For everybody else, this country is currently living stimulus bill to stimulus bill for lacking a long-range plan on how this country gets through this epidemic with so many people having to stay home. And while that is a hardship, we need to remember that in the food processing industry alone, there have been at least 700 COVID-19 cases in Wisconsin, 700 workers at these plants who have caught the coronavirus and get sick and some die. In fact, nationwide, there have been some 10,000 COVID-19 cases in food industry workers and at least 45 deaths. There are at least 9 OSHA investigations going on right now at Wisconsin food processing plants. So, as we look ahead to whether there will be organized football this fall, we can certainly support the Packers with a capital P. But let's remember the ones with the lowercase p, the ones who don't get millions of dollars, they can't do a Lambeau leap, but they are keeping us fed. And if we want to avoid future shortages of meat and other foods, we need those factories to stay open. Not by presidential decree, but by having a workplace where people can and do work safely. It is time to support the Packers, all of the Packers. That's a letter from the editor. I'm Pat Kreitlow.